Hello, my delightful students. As we move through the year, I am going to start requiring you guys to develop a works cited and or big bibliography pages to turn in with your research projects. So anyone who is in my world history classes or my government classes who are researching information, pretty soon you guys are going to have to start keeping track of the information, like where you got your information and why you got it there. In that vein, I have developed a document that shows you good sources versus bad sources. This is not related to any particular assignment, but I will be listing it on the homepage of my website so that you can find it, and I'll include the links on where to get that in the email that I have to send. So this is the assignment. There'll be a QR code that's linked to this video here on the assignment. And there are some both websites here that you can look at. These are college websites and like a military website and some other ones that are reliable. And then videos that teach you about finding reliable, unbiased sources. I also included a list of games that you can play that can help just solidify that information in your head. If you look at the assignments that I have created for you so far, you can see sort of a pattern of the types of resources that I send you. So some of them, very few of them, are going to be a .com. Like history.com, I feel can sometimes be a reliable source of information. Some of the articles they have are not quite so reliable. BBC, The Guardian, Khan Academy, worldhistory.org, these are all sources that you can trust. Crash Course, National Geographic, TED, overly sarcastic as well, documented. So one of the things I look for when I am sharing sources with students are places where I can actually pull up their bibliography. Like I can look at Crash Course, and in the comments underneath the videos, I see all the information where they got their stuff and how they cited their sources. This is what you should be looking for as well. I will often include Wikipedia pages. These are not the type of sources that you would include in a scholarly article that you would write. Wikipedia is a good place to start, mostly because you can scroll to the bottom of the page and they will give you all kinds of resources for you to dig further. But it is a good place to get kind of an overview of the topic, whatever it is you're looking for, just kind of an overview of the topic. So I want you to start paying attention to the type of sources that I share with you, what you see on those sources, what you don't see. On web pages, you shouldn't be seeing a lot of advertisements. You will, like on history.com, and some of like the Guardian is as a newspaper out of Great Britain, so you're going to see some advertisements on those pages, but you shouldn't be seeing a lot of that. If you're going to go really next level, you're going to be looking at JSTOR scholarly articles or looking up articles from Google Scholar, which is something that you can find from your Google page just by opening the tab and then looking for a Google Scholar search. Just type in Google Scholar. And then everything I search up under Google Scholar is going to be providing me with peer-reviewed resources. So peer-reviewed, which is why I include a lot of university in the stuff that I send you, peer-reviewed means that a whole bunch of other researchers and scientists look at the work and decide whether or not they think it's okay. It doesn't mean that they don't necessarily disagree or agree with it, but they mean that the work is good. So it's not just somebody publishing something. And I'm going to tell you a little story here. When I first started going to college a million years ago, I was writing a paper on Greek history. And I found a really great website that cited Herodotus, which was a Greek historian way back in, 300 BCE. And I was pretty excited about the information that I found. And I wrote this paper pretty much off of one source. And I didn't really pay much attention to the source that I was writing from. And it turned out that the source that I was writing from was a white power, like white supremacist website. So the entire, I was just looking at one article that I had actually printed out because in those days, I like to print out the internet before I read it. So I printed out this article and I read it and I used it as a source in a paper for my history class, and it was a white supremacist source. So while the information they gave me was correct, I ended up citing a source in a paper that I turned in to my college professor that was made me look like not a very credible researcher. And I wasn't. I wasn't being a very credible researcher, and I was really embarrassed about it later. So this is one example of why you should always be really careful about where you're getting your information from. So for some of you are studying Earth history, you'll notice that I've got National Geographic and a lot of governmental organizations here cited as sources for science. These are things that are going to be peer reviewed. These are things that these people can't publish anything. They can't put anything out without a dozen other people looking at what they did and deciding whether or not they used good science and good research. So please make sure that you're, taking advantage of the fact that they had their work looked at before you use anybody else's article. Something else that you should be looking into is this Ad Fontes media. So as we start moving into government, especially in government, when we're looking at current events, when we start looking in world history into some more modern things, and you're pulling things off of the different news media, that you're using this Ad Fontes media ad. They have a great chart here that talks about whether or not the media leans politically, whether it leans left or right. Most news or most magazines will have a political leaning left or right, just simply because our people who write are political and people who are editors are political. And we always want to be sticking towards the stuff that's in the center. Also, the way this chart is set up, they talk about whether it's factually reliable or not reliable at all. So make sure that you're pulling your stuff from right up here in the top middle. On my phone, I keep an app for the New York Times and Washington Post, which I know have a political leaning left and right. But I always double check any news article that I look at through, excuse me, dust. I always double check my news article apps through AP and Reuters. So AP is the Associated Press, and basically it's the most boring news article you've ever read in your entire life because it's completely factual. It doesn't give any opinions whatsoever. It doesn't analyze anything. It doesn't tell you any context. It just says these are the people that were involved and this is what happened. And that is a really super important tool when most of the news that we get are filtered through people who have lots of opinions and want to share them. So avoid the opinions and look at the facts. AP and Reuters are great for that. You can get an app and get it right on your phone and look through that stuff. So look through this information that I sent out. Spend some time with this, and then know that as we move forward, part of the assignment is going to be that you are developing a works cited page or bibliography page that shows which sources that you used in order to get your research for your information. So we need to start getting into good habits with this and looking at credible resources. All right, thank you for your attention and have a delightful day.